Let me guess, you're way too stressed and not productive enough. Well, on today's video, we're going to fix that. Block scheduling is going to turn your life around. Hey, welcome back to the Blunt Force Business Podcast. I'm Brian LaFauci.
And I'm Patrick Marino.
And today we're going to change people's lives.
Woo! This is another therapy session for me.
We are really going to change your life today. Today we are going to talk about block scheduling, and I believe this is the game changer for everyone. Business owners, people struggling with balancing their life, people, whatever. Kids who are trying to doing a bunch of shit and are trying to keep it all together. This is the game changer. We're talking about block scheduling. And so our blunt force fact for today is, if your calendar isn't built with intention, it gets filled with other people's priorities.
Sounds amazing. I mean, my calendar is
sounds long-winded for a blunt force fact from us, to me.
You know, there's a couple of key qualities of my calendar. Number one is it's super empty.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is a lot of the things in there
Mm-hmm.
don't get done. Number three is a lot of the things in there are just random.
Right.
Because I don't commit to it. So it's like, if it's in there, it's like something I thought about doing and was just like, all right, well, sometimes it's in there, sometimes it's not. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just very, very bad at it. And I don't know. We've talked about this. I think what we've done on this podcast is we've had one specific podcast that was kind of related to this. But we are always addressing it because it's such a core part of your consulting strategy. So it comes up a lot. I'm not sure we've dedicated a full episode to it like we are right now.
Well, we are going to dedicate a full episode today. So what are our listeners going to get today? Stick with us, because we're going to take you through the key steps that you need to engage in right now to change your life. And I mean that in 100% honesty. You'll change your life with this. There's some worksheets. We'll dump them into the description. You can download and use them to try to help build this out, play with it. And the reason I say this is good for everyone is because I find that I am talking to my kids about this all the way up to I'm talking to individuals that have run successful businesses for years, multi-million-dollar companies. And this is the thing that I implement first to kind of get them over the hump, to change the game where they're getting stuck, right? It starts here. So we're going to take you through it. So what does block scheduling even mean? Like, you say it to people, it sounds so block scheduling.
Well, I think that block scheduling is very, there's a word for this, and I don't know what the word is, but it's like when you visualize something, and it's like you're saying something, and by saying it, you can visualize it the same way.
Oh, yeah. Right.
That's what block scheduling is. Right?
Okay.
It's like you're taking it, if you looked at like a Google Calendar,
Mm-hmm.
which is what you and I both use,
Mm-hmm.
then it's color-coded, and you're moving the little blocks around, right?
You're moving the blocks, right.
That's exactly what, and also the word block means that nothing else can go into that block. It's blocked.
Correct.
So it is very there's an actual word for it, where it's like the visualization and the words all work together.
Well, maybe between now and
I'm not going to try and figure it out.
No, between now and when you edit this video, right? You could drop it in a little flashing thing. This is the word I meant.
Mm-hmm.
This is the word I meant.
But I think that the big part for this was going to be this is very. You're a veteran, and a lot of our listeners are veterans and people who participate in our programs. But there's a phrase, and you're going to correct me with this as well, where it's something to the extent of discipline provides freedom.
Discipline equals freedom.
Discipline equals freedom, something like that.
That's a Jocko statement.
Yeah, I don't think it's just Jocko, but it's
I have
very.
a T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I bought into that.
Yeah, but it's like the idea that once you have that. Only through order comes the ability to do things, because otherwise you're just what do I have going on, this, that, and the other. You're worried about it. You've got chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
So chaos, you sometimes can't function in chaos.
And this is the key to eliminating chaos. 100% the key to eliminating chaos. I feel this, you feel it, right? You just said to me before we started this, you're like, I am swamped with work right now. And I feel that way right now too. I have a lot. And so what's really difficult for all of us when we have a lot is turning off.
Right.
Or being present. right? It is difficult for you and I when there's a lot going on to be present for this.
Yep.
Like to just say, okay, right?
If anything, kind of helps me be present.
It does.
Because I have to put my phone down.
You have to put
my computer away. I have to focus on you. Like
Yes,
we're 100% present.
Right. And those are keys to like being successful with the concept of block scheduling. So you kind of laid it out. Let's dive into a little bit of what what is we're talking about, how it kind of lays out, how it works, right? So bottom line, the concept of block scheduling is all about building out your calendar and color coding the things that are most important to you. So where do you start? Let's say we want our listeners to commit to this right now. And the reason you're going to commit to this is I can promise you, if you spend the time of watching this video, doing this exercise and dig into this, you will feel, the one thing you'll feel is more freedom. You will feel more mental clarity. So when you are not working, your mind will not be on work. That to me is everything we're doing is about structuring our day. But the reality is what it gives you mental clarity when you're not, when you're free of the blocks, right? When you're like, okay, that's it for today. And, now I'm into my me time block or family time block or whatever it is, right? Or there's nothing on the calendar for this, for this time period. Your mind can do the same thing, which is very difficult. As a business owner, extremely difficult. As a human being, extremely difficult with, family and work.
If our target is the modern business owner, primarily dude, but it can obviously be females as well. But the idea is they're engaged in other parts of their life. They're engaged in their community. They're engaged with their kids. So this is not for the the business owner who's sleeping on the floor at the factory.
And I think it is for them too, to be honest. Yeah, I really do. Yeah, I can make an argument how, like, they need this too for the second part of this. So let's where do we start? So the first thing, you can download the worksheet, the first worksheet that's in there. And the first thing we do is we identify just the areas of our life that are important to us. So what does that mean? So for me, I'll go through the exercise right now. For me, it would be, okay, what's really important to me? My health and wellness is important to me. So I need blocks for that, right? Time with my family is important to me. I need blocks for that. Getting out with my dog is important to me. I need blocks for that. And you've noticed I haven't said anything about work yet, right? Anything at all. And then,
well, what's the blunt force fact?
The blunt force fact is if you don't build your calendar with intention, it will get filled with other people's priorities.
Right. So you're putting your priorities.
Yes. So when I say list out your priorities, I'm not saying list out your work priorities. Keep that. So be very clear here.
Your priorities.
Yeah, work is a priority, and it might fall as number 4, 5, or 6, right? So I say, start with like 6 or 7. Most people can do it. I think when we did this exercise on our weekly growth call, I think I ended with 9. Like 9 different areas of priority might have been where he ended. Most people landed like with 7 to 9 that they could bunch them in. I said, all right, then now you've listed those out. Now rank them. What's the most important thing there for you, right? And everyone's going to be different. And at different times of your life, it's going to be different. So then people go through and rank them. And then what you're going to do from there is you are now going to download the other worksheet that's in there, which is it's just a straight sample Microsoft Excel calendar. And you're going to take those 7, 8, 9 priorities. You're just going to color code them. And starting with the one that's the most important, you're going to block out that time. So if for you it's time with my kids, okay, then that's where we start. And that gets filled first. Because otherwise, we're going to let other stuff that isn't important kind of take over. Right. So we block those intentional times with our children on there. And then maybe we block our workouts out. Like, all right, I need to get 4 exercise periods a week in. If I don't, I'm a fucking just anxious and, I don't feel right. So I block those in. And I look at my little puppy and I block in, all right, date night. Date night's in there. That's good. That has to be in there. That, those times are important. And then I'll throw my dog in there and things like that. And then from there,
I have all these things I got to do. I got to get a dog. I got to get a date. Like
Yeah,
all
you
these
gotta
things
date
I
with-
have to do.
the double
You just
D.
added to my stress.
Double D's, dates and dogs.
No,
you can
my
do it. You
stress
can put
now.
those together, by the way. Doggy date, right? Take your dog to the park with your date. You can get 2 kill birds. That's the ultimate block. The ultimate block is when you marry 2 of them up together,
So you
right?
take the red block and the blue block and make
Make
a purple block.
block. Well done. They make a purple block babies.
You're adding more and more. Now I'm getting more strict. Calendar's stressing me out now.
All right. So you're going to build it out. Okay. You take your priorities, you're going to build out. And then and for right now, you're just going to build in the work time around that. Now, we're going to subdivide work into categories eventually. But what we're doing to start this out, like you said, Patrick, is we're putting intention behind what matters to us most. All right. And one of the beautiful things about this is, for some business owners, if you're brick and mortar or you're service based and whatever, your time is going to be like, all right, I have to be working during these times, just the nature. If you're not a business owner and you work for someone, you might have a schedule you have to stick to, right? This still is very, very functional. If you are a student, a college student, high school student, oh my God, this stuff can be a game changer, because a lot of you are dealing with work, school, job, date, right? Like all of those things at once. You put yourself in that category. I didn't do it to you.
You told me all these things I needed
New
to list
dog.
in my
New
calendar. I
dog.
don't have any of these things.
The only thing he heard was college girls.
Yeah, Shannon's got to play with her
Dates.
cat, right? Got to play with the cat. I said cat. So all that stuff, right, gets built in there, and then we have the thing, right? So now what we are left with, what you should be left with at this point, you can pause the video and then I'll take a little break, we'll have a little conversation. We are left with a draft. And the reason why I like doing this in the worksheets and not just jumping into the calendar is because anytime I have like a major life event, or if I'm doing this for the first time, like some of our listeners might be, you're going to have to fuck around with it a lot. And it's just easier to do that in the Excel sheet we built out, right? Because you can do what you said, you just drag, drop, and you can start to take a step back and visualize it. And what you're trying to say here is, do I have good balance? This is the way you're trying to get. Are the things that are really important to me, do they have the right time and space on my calendar? And that's going to take it. Are my work priorities there? Like, I know certain times I'm going to have to work. Do they fit? And am I making everything work around that?
And you're going to have to prioritize certain things in your work as well.
Right.
Which is where we get into our
Right.
80-20 rule as well. So you're
Yes.
going to want to make sure that you've done a proper analysis of which parts of your work schedule are most critical, which are the things that can be delegated. All those different things are part of this process as well.
So now let's take 2 key components to the block schedule.
Because you're going to be specific
Yes,
and
right.
not just say dog time.
We're going to get to that.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yes. So now that we've got it laid out, now we can start to add some specificity to this thing. And like you just said, what does that mean, right? And maybe it means I'm going for a walk. Maybe it means things like
Right.
that.
So there's the health and wellness part, but there's also the work part. It's like, I'm going to
Yes.
work from this time. Well, what does that mean?
Right.
What does that
So-
mean? I'm going to work from 9 to 3.
Right.
Or I'm going to work from 9 to 11 or whatever that period is. That's not really good enough.
Right. So now we have to do the same thing we just did globally, and we do that with our work blocks, right? So now we take work and we say, well, what is work?
Yeah.
And if you're just starting out, especially if you're starting a business right now, you may not know exactly what needs to be where. So you're going to start out with it's just
Or
like
a list.
or it's like a business plan
Yeah.
now, right? I need to review my finances, pay bills, do all that once a week. Well, we're going to start there. How long is it going to take you? Maybe about 2 hours. So you're just going to block it. And then we take every piece of the business that we know needs to happen, marketing, direct client deliverables, whatever, sales, admin work, the list of, it's pretty easy.
Meetings with key people.
Yeah, whatever it is. And we have to now do the same priority thing that we had to do with creating like the global color coded schedule. And we have to now block those out. So when you go into, when it's all said and done, you have now ensured that the key components to your business happen, that they all happen, that you're not going to miss them because I've created a reoccurring event on my calendar, right? And a lot of times for people who haven't used this, so we hired an admin and I shared calendar with her, right? So I can see when she puts stuff on there, vice versa, I can add to it. So when we started her out, I built a block schedule for her. And I showed her like, this is how I want you to use this. Move the blocks, feel free. But these are the things that need to happen, the stuff that needs to be recurring, I said is reoccurring, and you can play around with it, but it needs to be on there and happen. And now I don't worry that something's going to get missed because I built the block schedule for it, right? So it's there. So it's different than me just saying to you, and this is the next part to this. Hey, I need you to do this every Monday, right? Okay, great. The ambiguity of that is I don't know the system you created, right? What's great about block scheduling is it's very easy to share calendars and you can kind of create it for your team too. So you can use this for you and your team to make sure that stuff is at least scheduled and the time is allocated for it, right? So we build out all of the stuff that we know needs to happen. So we almost never have a situation where as the business owner, you're saying, oh man, I never do that. Or I don't do any marketing because I never have time in my calendar to do it, right? Well, we built that in. So then what's the key thing that you do once you build the calendar is you got to follow it, right? So you have to follow it. When I wake up in the morning,
not following it is stressful. Because what I've done is I've made my half-hearted attempts at following Mr. LaFauci's advice, and those just are then recurring reminders that I'm terrible at it. Because they keep coming up and saying, you're supposed to do this right now. I'm like, I'm not doing that right now. I forgot that was coming up. Like, I don't have time to do that. Like, I've got these other things I'm supposed to do because I didn't stick to it or follow through.
They make you eat the frog too, right? So when you schedule it, you're kind of forced to like, all right, I got to do it. So there is a little bit of that discipline of eating the frog when it comes up. Like, it's there. I just got to fucking do it. Mm-hmm. And that takes time. It takes time and it takes failure. And there's definitely times where, and certain days, if I'm just not feeling it and I'm like, I know I'm not feeling it, then I will go into my calendar and I'll move one block for the other. I'm like, you know what? This still needs to get done this week. I'm going to do it here and pull that there. But I don't just do that. I always move it. So I don't have to think about what I'm doing in a day. I'm just doing what my calendar says I got to do. So there's no thought. And there is a lot of freedom, and you say discipline is freedom. There's a lot of freedom in being able to say, I don't have to think about my day. Because I thought about it for an hour on Friday at the end of the day and planned out next week. On the average, I say I move stuff on my calendar probably maybe 2 to 3 times a week. That's it. Very rare. Like most days, today's a prime example. I woke up, I told Shannon I slept in a little bit, right? So I had something on my calendar for 4, but I didn't get up in time to start it today because I was like, I'm going to sleep a little bit.
I always thought 4 a.m. was like a theoretical time. It's like scientists can prove that 4 a.m. exists, but like in reality, no one's ever experienced it.
It's 3:50.
It's like one of those things. It's like, yeah, it's like, well, like I believe it because science proved it, but like I've never I've seen it. It's like I have faith. I have faith that 4 a.m. exists, but I've never seen it. I shouldn't say I used to see it.
Yeah, but you would see it.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
You would see it on the back end, not on the front end. There's times when my older kids, I'll get up at 4 and they're walking in the door. Swear to God, they're like making food because they just came in. I'm like, what a fucking difference in schedule, right? But I listened to this whole podcast about 3 to 4 being like the witching hour. Shannon's nodding her head. Have you seen anything on that? It's riveting stuff. It's just the energy of the earth is what they kind of relate to. Like from 3 to 4 a.m., like it is the truth.
You got to think like in a given time zone, 3 to 4 a.m. is one of the deadest probably times that there is.
And it's spot on. It's the earth is dead for lack of, the earth is sleeping. Like sometimes I'll go outside, I'll get my coffee, go right outside, and I'll stop working out, especially not in the winter, but in the summer I'll do that. And I first step out at 4, it's dead. It's like there's no noise. But by 4:15, every fucking bird is like talking and like everything just comes. It's crazy. Like when you like to see the transition of like everything just comes alive. You know, the light starts to come over the horizon, the thing. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so tangent. Bottom line is I had to move that. So that block I had at 4, when I got up, it shifted to 6. And and I just did it from there. Some key things when you're building this out, some tips. 1, leave buffers. So if you build this out and you go 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, all the way to like 4 or 5, you're setting yourself up a little bit for failure there because there is no room for you to.
Do you think there's a psychological thing where if you build it from like, let's say you build something in that goes from 1 to 2, that you are going to start at 1 and end at 2, and therefore like the next thing starts at 2. And
that's the problem.
Like, whereas if you go from 1 to 1:45 and you have nothing from 1:45 to 2, psychologically you're more likely to cut off at 1:45 and give yourself that time.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're like, hey, 1 to 2 means I could go a half hour and I have that. Is that what I'm getting at a little bit? Or does that make sense? Or is that kind of what you meant by
I like
scheduling in the buffer versus like just having the whole block filled because you're more likely to just fill it and then not have any room?
Every couple hours, I'll leave a little gap. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, right? Just gap for flex. Also, I will frequently leave in my day like an hour gap where there's purposely nothing there, right?
I wonder, like, for example, like our entrepreneurship call is every week from 12 to 1. Like if we did
12 to 12:45.
Right, but like we go to 1 a lot, right? If we said we're ending at 12:45, would we be more likely to end at 12:45?
Well, maybe, but
you know what I mean.
But that has a life and momentum, so you don't want to cut it off.
I agree with that.
So
but I'm also trying to
anything before 1:30.
Yeah.
So for that, because I know that, right? So I have having those buffers built in is great. And the other cool thing is if you really get value out of like crossing things off. The other thing I do that I love is when I complete something, I delete it from the calendar. Even if it's like right in that block, I just go into my calendar, hit delete. I'm like, clear. Because then when I look back, if the days earlier are like all cleared out, it just feels really good. It feels like, all right, I got a lot done.
Sometimes I like the few times I've carried through with this, which are very rare, but like sometimes like if I look back, I'm like, I can go back into my history and say, okay, well, no, we had that meeting. Like, no, it was at this time. But if you cross that off, then you can't do that, no?
Yeah, but I don't cross meetings.
Right.
I cross tasks. Yeah. So not meetings. I don't. And the other thing is, if I miss something, that's fine. I miss it. Then I definitely have to take that block and move it forward to some time in the future, which is another reason why I leave some empty time throughout. Because what do I do if I finish something early? Well, if I'm finished something early, my energy's good. I will maybe look ahead and say, oh, I got that thing. That'll take me 20 minutes and I'll drag it to right now. Right. And it's really weird. The key thing is if you don't live with your calendar open, this is hard. It's not as effective. The key is to live with your calendar open. The reason why, so some people say, well, I like paper calendars. My wife does. I don't, because this does not work well. You're crossing. It's a pain in the ass. Digital calendar transfers to your phone. It's with you everywhere. You can play around with it. It works really, really well. All right. We built out the calendar. We understand that we have to let it guide us. We go from thing to thing. When we complete it, we just look at the next thing. This really helps too with people who struggle sleeping at night, because you're sleeping at night. You're worried about something. that used to happen to me before I used this system. It almost never happens to me anymore. And it doesn't because I now am comfortable that everything important already has its space. I've already given it time. So I know it's going to happen. So to worry about it is point, and it's easier for me to sleep, to not have anxiety.
I mean, this is like a true productivity, wellness, happiness hack.
It's
because
way more than anything else. It's wellness and happiness.
But with the wellness and happiness comes more productivity. Because we're going to do a future podcast on progress and perfection. And one of the things that stalls progress is chaos. Because instead of having this focus and like, I'm going to focus on this one thing and do this, you focus on the thousands of things that have to be done and then none of it gets done, right? So you have that stagnation, you have that like, you're paralyzed by your lack of progress, right? And so there's been a lot of, I don't want to be political, but like there's been a lot of, this is not political, this is kind of just like a social scientific fact that's coming along when you see people who are maybe more religious or more guided by a framework that's been written for them are stated happier. Like they say that they're happier and more content in their life than people that are, like atheists or non-religious, right? Like liberal people are less happy than conservative people who live by these specific guidelines. Thou shalt not this, thou shalt not that. But what that discipline does is it removes a lot of the things that you would worry about because you can't do them. They're against the rules, right? So with the discipline comes the freedom, right? Yeah. And that it removes a load off your mind. And it's like if I'm thinking about literally the unlimited possibility of things I can do, I'm not going to do any of them. Yeah. Whereas if I can focus them and put them on a calendar and say, these are the things I have to do, then I, as you said, I'm not worried about it because I know what's happening. Yes. That predictability gives me the freedom to think about other things in my life. And it helps me be more productive because we've talked about this a lot in the world, whether it's SMART goals or whatever it is, like you want to have little wins. We talked about that, right? The little wins. Like if you're never succeeding, then you will not move on. Right. So by saying, okay, as you said, you delete it from your calendar. I got that done. I got that done. Now I'm feeling good about myself versus like, I didn't get that done. I forgot that I had to do that, right? If that's all in there in the calendar, then eliminates all that process. Right.
So there's one more step to this and we'll wrap. This is the key step to success. The way you make sure that this thing continues, like the cycle continues, is I'm a big fan of notebooks. So anything that happens during the week, I always had I brought my notebook here today, right?
I thought you said paper didn't work.
So I use my notebook to jot down stuff really quickly. Now, our friend Tyler said, why don't you just use tasks?
Or you know what, people are really, there's a lot of people who are digital who are really good at voice notes.
Right. Voice notes or voice tasks.
Note to self.
Yes. So it doesn't really matter what you use there, but you need a way throughout the week to capture stuff that comes up. And then I do it on Friday. You can do it whenever you want. I like to do it at the end of the week. So that way, like the weekend, I'm really clear. My head is so clear because the next week's already planned out. Right. So I can go into, if I wait till Sunday, I have a little bit of anxiety still because I don't have the picture of the next week yet done. So I do it Friday. It's the last thing I do. And then I am like, I don't think, which is nice. So I keep the notebook, and what I do is I go from my previous work list, which like the calendar, when you delete stuff, when I complete it, I just X it out. So I have a work list. And then any notes from there forward, I just make a new work list. So the cycle is I make the new work list for the week with anything I didn't finish from last week carried over, plus any new notes, right? If you're using a digital, any new tasks or voice messages, you just add them in. Then I take that work list or your tasks and I I drop them in the blocks that are available to them in the next week. So the calendar is already filled with the reoccurring family, the reoccurring health and wellness, the
priorities.
The reoccurring work things that have to happen every week. They're already filled with that. So now these additional tasks are going to find their space. And sometimes there's no room for all of it. So you have to be strategic and be like, okay, It is what it is. Which one of these do I have to dump? And then every once in a while, you may have to say, okay, my workload's getting way too much. Do I need to onboard someone here? Because I'm having all these tasks that aren't getting done. And
Or you make the difficult decisions. Maybe they're not even that difficult. You mentioned that during our call, it might be like, okay, well, my boy is super busy right now. Like maybe he needs a break from me. Maybe I can fill that time with a work task.
Yeah.
Because he's had plenty of me. You know what I mean? Or like, my girlfriend and I have spent, my dates and I have spent way too much time together. You know what I mean? Like we just went on vacation 2 weeks ago. Like I can skip this one. You know what I mean? Like, so there's going to be some things whether, and you're going to be busier work-wise during certain times of the year. Like if you're in retail, like, and you're preparing for a major event like Black Friday or something like that, like certain times of the year, you're going to be able to move other priorities around.
If you're an accountant, your block schedule is much busier from January to April than the rest of the year, of course. So, and that's all, but be intentional. Yeah. Going back to our blunt force
we just
fact,
talked it through, but like we were thinking it through. We weren't just saying, I'm just not going to do this because of whatever. We were thinking about the priorities first, and then
when you're intentional, everything just finds its space. You start to look at your calendar, you're like, 5 of these things are phone calls. When am I in the car? So now you're not just like, oh yeah, that's right, I got to call that guy, and doing it during a shitty time. That makes no sense, right? Everything becomes intentional. And what you find is your productivity is way, way more improved. And when you're not doing work, you're not thinking about it. And after a couple weeks of this, the clarity of your mind it's game changing. But the one thing I will say that people very frequently say to me, and I don't say this to tout this is just, I'm mirroring what people say. They're like, I don't understand how you're so stress-free with all the things you got going on in your life. Because I don't fucking have to think about them when they're not happening.
See, they say the same thing to me. It's because like I'm losing my mind, and I just bury it. I bury it.
Bury your emotions.
Or they're trying to talk to me and I'm drooling because I'm drunk. One or the other. Like either way. But they're like, oh, geez, how do you hide that? Freaking, like
love it. Block scheduling. Fucking do it.
Better than alcohol or weed.
Better than alcohol and weed. If you're not intentional about your calendar, it'll become other people's priorities. I'm Brian LaFauci.
Patrick Marino.
Until next time.
Thank you.